up, everybody? First official episode of Talking Shoop podcast. With me today is Michael Worley with Worley Generations Moving. Obviously, Generations in the name. He's been in business for 106 years, from his father to him to then potentially his son. It'll get passed down to. And I mean, the biggest question obviously is like, how do you continue to keep a business like that moving?
Roll with the punches. I mean, everything's the different landscape. We've been around since 1920, so the landscape my great-grandfather had is way different than what I have today. Like my great-grandfather, he started with like a horse and buggy delivering furniture off trains down in downtown York, which is like crazy to think that. And then to where he got really big then in the 40s and 50s. My dad took over in the 70s, right when I think he passed away. My great-grandfather passed away in 75. I was born in 76. And then that landscape was completely different than what he had to deal with. So that was coming out of Vietnam and stuff like that. And then now today, my dad got it really big in the 80s. Late 80s was a really good sweet spot for the moving companies because businesses would pay for your move. So like let's say you worked for Sears in Roebuck or something like that. They would pay for you to relocate from California to Pennsylvania, and then we had that contract. So it was a really good paying gig. We had all those deals. And he got up to a very large company. We had, I want to say, a 20,000 square foot warehouse up in York, three crates high, a gigantic place. It was awesome.
Sheesh.
Up in Emmonsville, and then and he was awesome at his job. My dad and mom and my uncle ran the business, and it was a really good business. And then what happened was they started giving businesses stipend. So the businesses started giving their employees a stipend to move. So they gave them money, and then they had to find a mover. So that removed you from the equation. So now they might use somebody that's already. So you're just like a middleman
just to collect some profit, basically.
Exactly, yeah. So they're like the business didn't want to deal with it. So that kind of changed the landscape, and then the housing market fell out, and that's when I took over. It was a difficult time. We had to do some freight. So you have to change. You just have to move stuff around and keep your business open, and then. And now we're a smaller company now. It's only 3 trucks, and I have 8 guys.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Just like from generation to generation, and like the way technology's been transforming. I mean, I couldn't even fathom. Like, you go from you got a truck that doesn't even close. It's just like a truck with some side rails, and you're hauling some stuff, and then you go from that to then an enclosed box truck to another enclosed box truck that's got more tools and stuff, because they have like the lifts that go up and down on the back.
Yep. We have a lift gate. We have side trucks, doors on each side, doors on the back. Yeah, we used to have these things called sea containers where we had to load those, and you would be in there on a hot day. Like, I actually had to go to the hospital one time because I was dehydrated. Like, I thought I was throwing up. I didn't know what was going on. I went to the hospital. He's like, "You're dehydrated, man."
Yeah, I got one of those right out there.
Oh, there you go. You know the deal. It gets hot in the summertime, and I didn't even think about it because I was in there loading the truck, and then I got sick. But as far as like. Also, a good thing with us, like over the generations, the one thing that has happened that was able to let me keep going is word of mouth. So, like my dad did my great-grandfather did a good job. Everybody knew his name.
Yeah.
My dad did such a good job. Everybody knew his name. So I'm moving people still that my dad moved back in the 80s.
That's awesome.
Like they call us back because we did a good job back then. Yeah. So that helps have a client base, which I'm sure you have a client base. Once you do a good job for this person, then they tell their other buddy.
Yeah, word of mouth, and then like one bad apple can ruin the whole tree in a sense. So if somebody's out there and you do a move for them, and then say one of your guys like may have accidentally damaged something, or you just had a slight disagreement and it wasn't that serious, and they just took it out of proportion, and they can really tarnish something that doesn't need to be dragged as much as it is. So you definitely got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. And I see whenever, let's say somebody does something for a business online and they kind of bash a business of somebody who I know is good. Yeah. I'll go in there and be like, I had a great experience with these people.
Yeah, or it's like a third party thing, right? So like how we're doing this podcast. Yeah. You might say something on the podcast has nothing to do with you and your daily operations of moving, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't like that, or he sat a certain way, I didn't like that, so then I'm not going to use them. It's like, don't let somebody saying something in a third party sense like ruin a great experience that you could have from like doing a podcast, or like you're just watching what you watch or whatever. Like it's silly to me.
Yeah, people are pretty quick to judge other people on things that really don't apply to what their business is.
Yep, and
that's crazy.
Yep, and that's why I'm big on like, I mean, I hear stuff from businesses all the time, like, you know, this person did this or this person did that. I was like, well, I'm friends with that guy, and he ain't never do that to me. Like, he's good with me, so it's like, why let something like that ruin? Because people are petty like that. They'll go out of their way to just try and make you feel a certain type of way over nothing. So that's
today's social environment. That's one of those things. It is hard to navigate. You're younger. You guys are younger, so you guys know better than I do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to navigate it as well as I can. I can't even do TikTok. I don't even know what's happening. Do you do TikTok?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think our editor will probably put some reels on there, but that's what he's here for.
Yeah, it gives me a headache. I try to get on it, and it's like it just keeps coming and keeps coming. There's stuff that I'm like, what is going on? I had to turn it off. I couldn't even stand it. But I know that you have to do that in today's market. You have to adapt and adjust, and I think that's one thing that we've been trying to do is adapt and adjust. We do social media marketing, all that stuff, but like what you do is the end of what you do. Like that tells everybody about you. So I'm sure when you go out and do a job, you make sure it's done right because you want that job again next time.
Yep. I treat every job I get, I treat it like the first job I ever got. I want people to not only just obviously hire me, but I want them to feel like no matter the price I give or the plan I go over, like I want them to know like it's going to be executed correctly and everything's going to run smooth. I mean, you're going to run into stuff that you can't see. I don't have thermal imaging things that I can like look through the ground and be like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a wire right there, or you run into an extra slab of concrete when you thought it was this, you only thought it was 5x5 and actually 5x7. So you got to adjust and do things. But as far as when we do jobs, I definitely try to make it as elaborate and sound as professional as possible to make sure that they, they get the experience that they're asking for. Because people think like, you give a $7,000 quote, they're like you got to realize like people saved their money and they worked hard to save that $7,000. So like I don't take that lightly, whether it's an $800 job or like I said a $7,000 job. I want to make sure that like they get a good experience because that job that we're doing could literally just make somebody's whole day. Same thing, they don't know what we're going through and you really don't know what they're going through. So they could have been like, you knock that job out of the park and then their whole demeanor changes about everything. And it's more than just like making $1 for me and, selling a quick buck type of thing. So that's kind of why I enjoy what I do. Obviously it could be deeper than that, but that's like the big gist of it is knowing.
And that's our thing is basically we're the same sense where like moving is already so stressful. So we try to be the least stressful part of the operation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a so we are like our salespeople don't even work on commission because I don't want them being pushy to you whenever they sell the job. You want to use us, use us. This is our price point. This is what you want. We don't want to. If you're feeling uncomfortable financially or in any other manner before the move, it's already going to go sideways. So we try to make sure you feel comfortable with everything, and that helps get us moves. And then when we're done, and the people are like, with all the stress, they're like, "Oh man, you were the least stressful part of this whole thing. That was great. Like that makes me feel good because they do have other things they got to worry about. I don't want them to have to worry about us. I want them to worry about you should worry about should I keep this piece because this is my grandma's heirloom. You know what I mean? Like, and be worried about that, and then it gets there safely, and then they're happy. Like that. That's my job. Then your job is worried about the house sale, the settlement, and changing your cable. Your electric. All that stuff over it. Moving is a total pain in the butt. And we're trying to make it the least painful from our aspect.
And the one thing that I will say that's funny is, as much as I do love making sure the job is perfect, in the same sense, I also don't like people that like hawk over my shoulder, and they want to like if you're hiring me for a service, like I preach my reviews and I want it to be obviously like if I tell you we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it well. Like at the end of the day, like I'm the professional, so like. You just got to trust my expertise, and then, you can clearly see the work that we do. Cause like, that's the first thing I tell any customer. I'm like, go on Facebook, go on Google, look us up, and you'll see that like we are legitimate business. But when customers, you're doing like a simple mulch job and you're planting a couple boxwoods and they're like over top of your shoulder, like looking down on you, like from the heavens. It's crazy, and it's like
we have people like that. They'll pull out a tape measure.
Yep.
I mean, we'll put it on the wall, and they'll get it. We're fine. We'll do that. That's okay.
Yep.
One thing we have issues with is people will want to put a sofa in their attic or something like that, and they'll be like, "You can get it up there. You can fit it. Turn it this way. Turn it that way." And I'm like, "We are still bound by the laws of physics." And I assure you, if this sofa can get up there, I'll get it there.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it can't. And it would be much easier for me to actually just get it up there than to pretend I can't get it up there. And I'll be like, "Oh, turn it this way, that way," and I'll be like, "All right, we'll turn it I'm like, because they're paying by the hour.
Yeah, I think people think like because you're in that trade, I think you automatically just get granted some superpowers.
Yeah.
And they think that you are just like, oh, well, you can do this and you can do that. It's like, well, no, like physically or whatever. It's like that's just not going to happen. Like they're like, oh, well, can you plant this over here? It's like, well, you got to do X, Y, and Z to make sure it can be planted. Like I can't just throw it in the ground and call it a day. Same with
and your end of your business, you have to make sure that there's a thing in the industry that I noticed from the one farm that I go to is that these people don't want the plant to just exist. They want it to thrive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't want the plant to hang on. Like you might want to put this plant that needs shade in the sunshine.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell them, hey, don't do that because it's going to die over time.
And at the end of the day, it's like at your discretion, right? If I explain something to you and then you do it anyway, like we had planted trees for this customer, and I told them, I was like, like it was like 35 trees. And I told them, where these bigger trees are, they're going to get like not as much shade, and I would advise you to not put it there. But obviously, if we didn't, you'd have 10 trees on here, and they wouldn't fill in this like 20-foot space. So you kind of had to put them there. But I was like, you need to address these branches above these other trees because one, if they break, they're going to destroy your trees, and then two, the shading and stuff. And they wanted us to put them there anyway, and I was like, we'll plant them, but. You're going to have to do like a ton of extra maintenance or like, you need to address this tree sooner than later to then allow it to fully grow and develop. But they didn't. So they're a great customer and we still do work for them.
They'll find out 5 years from now. That's the thing with your job in landscaping. It takes time to see the outcome of that.
And it's always a trial and error process because, I don't know everything. I am learning to then hopefully know most things, but I'll never know everything. So like, the big thing that I always stress to myself or other business owners is like, if you don't have an answer to the question, always come back with like, hey, I don't understand that right now, but I'll let me do some research. I'll get back to you. Don't always be like, no, I have no idea. Like
exactly
saying no in any situation, come up with like some sort of elaborate answer to make it sound better, or like how we have scripts here for questions and stuff like that. Like it's always,
if you have to move an air conditioning unit from your roof, I can't do that because I don't have a crane, but I know people that do.
Right.
And I'll put you in connection with this. With anything moving, people will be like, hey, do you do this? No, I don't, but I can get you there. And that's the thing is what people don't understand. Always call us for any moving thing. We know plenty of people. We know riggers. We know all this stuff like that. And we actually have skates. We have materials to move that stuff where even if I call my crane guy, he gets it down to the ground for me. I got it from there.
Yeah, always plan to pre-plan. That's how I look at it. Like I have a stand-on skid, but there's a guy I use, Steve Simon, and like if I don't know how to excavate something or that machine can only excavate so fast, like I would just call him, and what I would do in a day he could do in like 2 hours because he's got a mini X and he's got a skid loader to make life 10 times easier, which at the end of the day that's what it's all about, is like building connections when you're in business to then allow yourself to have an easier go at any job that you take on. Because with anybody, growing a business, you're going to grow and you're not going to be able to buy things as fast as you're growing. So you got to make other leadways to then, get that job done in a certain timely manner, because you can't charge $1 million for a 20, like a 20 foot by 20 foot tall retaining wall or whatever the case is. Like, so it's just unrealistic. So you got to sub out here. And that's like with the concrete work I do, the guy I had on, it was like our test episode that we did last week. Same thing, like he does my concrete. So it's like, like I can sell jobs and I can do things that can complement the concrete, but like I can't do the concrete because I just don't know how. So which is fine. People that try to sell everything and they act like they know everything, they don't. So being okay with not knowing everything is definitely a good step in building your business the correct way, rather than trying to be a handyman, as they say, a jack of all trades. Because like anybody that says they're a handyman, like to me, which at first I was like, a handyman, I think that's a good thing. Like, but if like you sell yourself as a handyman, you're just saying that you're okay in some things, but you're never actually proficient in anything. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, let's say, because you don't want the guy faking it. You don't want to be faking it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because you're going to have to clean it up later. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you're the mindset, like that's one thing I like about, one thing, like you said, about us being around forever is our employees. Our employees have always been like, moving, you have to be like, we can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we can do it. Like, you have to be like, okay, this dresser has to get up the steps. It's not going to fly up there magically. You have to have the mindset of, we can do it. We're going to be positive. We're going to be we think we can do everything, but we're also the realistic manner that, hey, we're going to need some help on this. And that's when my guys will call me. But my guys are absolutely amazing in that manner. And I think if anybody had used them before, you'll repeat the same thing. But that's the mindset you need as a business owner, and with your employees, you find those like-minded people that are like, so like we have 8 guys, and I think all have been with me for more than 5 years, like, and that's because we're all the same mindset. When they call me, let's put it this way, when they call me, I know it's a problem.
Yeah, it's an actual problem. They're not just like,
they're not just trying to bug the boss.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like, they're like,
awesome.
and that's my job, is whenever they do call me, I go there.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be there. Let me figure it out. Let's go. Let's figure it out together. Let's work it together. And then we go and do that. And then they appreciate me. They're less likely to call me and annoy me if I don't bother to help and just tell them to figure it out.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, now they call me whenever there is a problem. I go there. I get there. We do it. There's certain jobs where my head guy, Andy, will do the estimate, and he'll be like, hey, me and Mike should be on this.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against our employees, but it's more or less, it's like the people you say, we're there over your shoulder.
Yeah.
So I go to those jobs, and that's because people always feel like they feel better when the owner's there. I don't know what to say. Like, it's a weird thing.
And
Whenever my employees can do the job just as good as I can. But for some reason it makes them feel better. If that makes them feel better and they want to pay that money, then that's what it is. I'll be there.
Yeah, some jobs, if they're more elaborate and stuff, and regardless if I have faith that my guys can do it, and it's a a more extensive job, I will definitely be there. I mean, for the stage that I'm in my business, I'm there 85-90% of the time anyway, because like that's just what I want to be known as. And that's how I built my business when I didn't have anybody. Was I don't know exactly what I'm doing, I don't know exactly how to do it, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to give 110% every time. And from there, this is what I built. And now we have a podcast. I got 3 trucks.
Well, it's impressive at your age. You know what I mean? To be able to do that. Like, I didn't take over the moving company until I was older. So I'd already been there, and it was already established. For you to start a business and to get to this location where you're at already, like, you should be very proud of yourself. The fact that you label your drawers is... that tells you you're organized. I don't label any of my
I have
my
OCD.
Drawers.
If you look in there, everything, like that cabinet that's over there, everything is like the oils for the trucks are like all organized. And
I just started using my wife's label maker, and I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
we got all our screws organized over there. I have like slight OCD. I mean, if you look in any of my trucks, which we'll go over that eventually, but like you got to be organized. And then as far as like it's such like a niche term, I guess you could say, but like I always look at it as like for your guys, and not only for your guys but for yourself. Like, you got to like simplify it or dumb it down, as they say, as much as possible, because like putting processes in place, like I could have just came in here and be like, hey, like think of some questions, but like now that I have these, now you don't have to think, you literally just read it and then it's right there. So like we have sheets in place for every job that we do, whether it's hardscaping, landscaping, if we're doing shed pads or whatever. It lists all the tools that we need. It lists how many tools we need. So if it's a 3-man job, then you bring 3 of that item. So 3 shovels. Everybody has 1 of what they need. Now, obviously, like you're not bringing 3 machines, but like as far as hand tools go and stuff like that. And then just simplifying it as much as possible, and then having an abundance of something is never a bad thing. So we have like a bunch of extension cords. You can always never have enough ratchet straps. Every truck should have them. Like, having simple Phillips head screwdrivers, ratchet sets, stuff like that. Like, people don't even think of. And like not having to load that stuff every morning is just you go from saving 5 to 10 minutes to then you add that up at the end of the year, and you're saving hours to like literal days and weeks. And that's what I try to do is like,
yeah, you'll see that
simplify
in the moving industry. So like the moving industry, a lot of movers, you'll hire a mover online or whatever, and they'll show up. They won't have a dolly, they won't have pads, they won't have this, and they'll just try and do the job. And they spend more time trying to rig around it than actually just having the equipment. So like our guys, that we have mag liners, we have the best dollies, we have the best pads, we have brand new trucks. Like I try to give my guys, you're like me, where I'd rather, and they'll be like, hey, what should we take? Take 10 boxes, even if it calls for 5. Make sure you're over prepared, because then when you get there, we can always bring the boxes back. It doesn't matter. So the fact that you have 3 shovels, because I do at the farm, I'll go to those places, they'll have 1 shovel, they won't have the equipment for the stuff we're moving, and it's like, now we're dragging a 500-pound tree up and around a hill by hand, and it's like, okay, well now that customer's mad because you just made a giant rut in their grass when it wasn't supposed to be that kind of job.
And it wasn't always like that. Obviously, you
have to get scale enough to get that.
Yeah, I could talk about that on a whole nother video, but when I first started, I didn't even have money to buy 3 shovels. I didn't even have money to buy 3 rakes or 3 anything. So it was, working with what I got, breaking tools as I go, and not knowing like, okay, there's a big rock in the ground, you should bring a pickaxe, and then you're trying to get it out with a spade shovel, and now you're breaking your spade because you didn't bring a pickaxe. Like, knowing little ways around things is definitely big on having an easy flowing job for sure, which like every project is different. You do a mulching job, it's relatively the same, but same thing. It's different because the edge isn't going to look the same, or the mulch isn't going to lay the same. And it's like, it is in a sense, but it isn't. So like, you have to be ready for that, even though like mulching is like the easiest thing that we do, but just in a general sense, like you need to be over ready to be, easily to just complete the job, stretching that out. But
Yep, you can't emphasize that enough.
Yes,
that's
I'd rather stay ready than get ready, or whatever is, or like whatever Will Smith says. That
I don't know Will Smith what he says there.
but yeah, I mean that's pretty much it as far as the just like what you need to do is like just to be overall prepared. The one thing that I was curious about is like with the being in business for the generations that you have, the overhead, and then dealing with like the downsizing to then rebuild it to what you want it to be. Like, how do you expect to do that?
Yeah, this is going to be a hard thing to do. So basically what was happening is we were getting to the end of it. My guys were getting older. So our bodies are starting to break down. So I thought about maybe I would want to close the business, because I do have other passions and things I like to do. We made it 100 years. A lot of the times with a family business, you're kind of beholden to it. So what happened is I didn't know that. Like you're raised in it. It's like the restaurant business. A lot of times these families, you're raised in it. You feel like you have to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. It was just the lifestyle you live. My grandma was like, because I said, oh, maybe I'll be a cook. Oh, you can't leave the business. Like I break her heart. And it was like grinding on me and stuff like that. And my dad, it was his business. It was just always known that it was going to become my business. And that is a tough thing. And I try to tell my kids, like, hey, you don't have to do this. And I think me saying that, and me also, and my guys, they're awesome guys, but I would try to make sure if I did close the business, they would have a place to land.
That's awesome.
But then these guys, I had a talk with them, and they really like their job. I also talked to them about, okay, let's expand. Let's let you do more of the social media stuff. Let's let you do this. But they genuinely like moving furniture. They're like, I don't want to do that. I just want to move furniture. And for me, that blew my mind. It's like, you'd rather move furniture than go to a business group and work on sales. So they don't want to do that. But also, they have the equipment. They all know each other. They know all that. So we got to that point. It was like, and I brought my son on. He's only 12. But I brought him on jobs, and I paid him, and he really liked that aspect. And I think that gave me a renewed thought of the business. It wasn't so stale. It wasn't so that. It was more or less like, okay, hey, but I also want to make sure it's set up well for him. The business was we were in a certain spot where we were too big when the housing market collapsed.
Yeah.
So that was a very hard thing for me to navigate, and I invested 2 years of my life just to save it. Does that make sense? And it was kind of like, and it wasn't really saving it because we had work, but it was restructuring everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, to chime in on that, like to the one thing that you said, as far as like the one guy that I'm hiring, you know, like the instant gratification that you get from completing a job, like when you start a project and it goes from nothing, and then you build this like beautiful design, and then you implement that, and then like, you know, present it to the customer and everything just goes the way it needs to go. Like to me, like that's such a good feeling and it's like a lot in the blue collar industry. Like you're taking something that was nothing, absolute shit, and you're turning it into something beautiful. Like the feeling that you get from doing that is definitely like, you know, you don't know until you see it, but like you don't know until like you truly experience it. And then adding on to like, you know, your guys just wanting to do that. Like a lot of people like obviously I would love to oversee my business, but I will still feel like at some point I'll still be doing the work to some extent. But obviously I would like to just oversee it. But you know, like some of them just love just manual labor. I mean, I've worked in jobs where I saw, before I started my business, where I saw guys that were 60, 70 years old, and like they just loved it. It wasn't necessarily about the money. It was like, you know, the instant gratification of like you do a job and then you're physically completing that job rather than being like an overseer, and then you can see it progress because you're the one that's doing the work. So some people just love the hands-on aspect.
Well, and I liked it when I traveled. So I was over the road driver. Mm-hmm. So what I would do is I would drive really hard for 3 days, and I would take off a day somewhere, and I'd be like in San Antonio, or I'd be in Mississippi and hang out by the creek eating frog legs. Like it was like you try to make it like. So I tell my guys that too, and I think they like that also. And that aspect is like they do get to travel. We have friends. A lot of them are fans of basketball, so they'll go to a basketball game. So and we give them enough money where they can afford that $100 basketball ticket.
What's so like if you're traveling from PA, where your home base is, what's the furthest you've gone? Like, do you know the distance in miles, just to give like a more?
Oh well, yeah, we go 3,000 miles.
That's crazy.
So we'll go like I've been to San Diego for work, San Francisco. My wife was actually living in Seattle when I met her. We actually met at a wedding in North Carolina.
And that was from a move that you did?
And I did a move in Seattle. She's like, hey, look me up if you're ever out here. And I was like, okay. You know, I met her. Like, she was super nice and she was awesome. And I was like, crazy. Okay. And then I pulled the big rig right downtown Seattle, and we had a date for lunch. And then she's from Timonium, but she was out there for work. And then we did a long-distance relationship where I ended up, if I was in San Francisco, I could get to Seattle, but it'd be out of my own dime, out of my own pocket, but I would get there. But we go everywhere. Our guys go. The easiest part about moving is driving.
Yeah,
that's what people don't understand. Like, our guys love going on the road because you're not. When you're local, you're moving furniture every day.
Yeah.
When you're on the road, driving truck for us that's nothing. Like I worked part-time at this farm, and they had me work one day, and I had to drive to DC. Think 3 times in one day. It was like my second day on the job. They're like, who can do this? And I was like, I can do that. Yeah. And I did it, and I got done. They brought me in the next morning. They're like, we're so sorry. I was like, that was the easiest 13-hour day I've ever had in my life. Like just driving is nothing.
That's good that you like driving, because I hate driving.
No, I don't mind it.
I used to live in Florida, and me and my buddy, when I moved to Florida, that was like 16 hours. I drove there, and then at one point I had to move back, but like I drove there and then came back, and that was like 34 hours straight roughly, and luckily I had a passenger with me, and I mean that was terrible. I just, it's so boring to me. I mean, like, I run out of music to listen to, and I'm just big on like I want to get to my destination. So like, I mean, I don't know, I feel like if I was in an actual job, I would probably go the whole sightseeing and stop and enjoy things. But I don't know, like for us, we'll probably go a little over an hour. Okay. Obviously, because we got to move.
Well, your money is tied to that. Yeah, we're actually taking the thing there. Now we're
you're getting paid to drive.
Yes, exactly.
The whole time. Yeah. We get paid when we start the job, not necessarily. Yeah. And obviously, you do include your travel fees if you're driving over an hour and stuff, but it's not to the extent of, Yeah,
you're paying so our price is based off of mile.
Yeah.
And we do run into traffic jams. What we try to do is limit that stuff. Sometimes we'll leave, I used to drive late, so I would leave at noon. Okay. I would leave at noon and then drive until midnight. Because if I leave at noon, I go through one city, I'm only hitting rush hour once. If you leave at 7 in the morning, you're going to hit a rush hour in the morning and a rush hour at 5 o'clock. See, this way it limited to 1, and then plus The one thing I got with driving is listen to baseball games.
Oh,
So that got me to. So then I had a West Coast team with my Orioles. Love the Orioles, obviously. So I listened to their baseball games.
Yeah.
Now you have to be able to listen to a baseball game, which not everybody can do. And then I would have the 9 o'clock game, which was West Coast, and that got me to midnight. So, and XM, believe it or not, XM radio helped me a lot. I was one of the first people to have XM because it was like you would drive through Wyoming. And you would have the radio go, and it would be on search. And you would forget it was even searching for 3 hours. And it would stop, and you'd be like, oh, my God, it's been on search for 3 hours. Like, it's the craziest thing.
What have you ever done any moves for anybody that's, like, famous or professional teams?
Not really. I helped on a move with somebody who moved Alex Rodriguez.
Okay.
So I helped on a move. I was in a portion of that, and the guy wasn't a fan of him. And I wasn't too surprised.
There you go.
Like, I get that. So like we stored the stuff for him and so on and so forth. We made sure we actually took pictures of everything beforehand and after. Not too many famous people though. It's more
like any like exotic items that you were like, if this gets damaged, like that's like half our business.
We actually did a move for Carnegie Mellon, the art museum out in Pittsburgh. They actually got some paintings. They put them on loan to the York Heritage.
Yeah,
it's actually the newspaper came in, took pictures, and I'm carrying I took super care of this stuff. I knew it was worth money. Like this. So these paintings were like probably 8 foot wide by like 4 feet tall. So we got them crated up. So I built crates for them. So and I get there and I was unloading, and the guy was like. And I'm taking it up the steps after it's out of the crate. He's like, "Hey, do you want to know how much this is worth?" And I was "Don't tell me until I put it down." And this painting was worth like $2 million.
Yeah,
and it was just me and one guy, and it's one of those things where it's not heavy. It's not 10 guys carrying it. It's you and one other guy.
Yeah, and
you're carrying this, and we put it down, and now I had to take it back. So we put it on. It was on loan to York. It was a famous picture. I can't remember who did it, but it's the guys on a barge in the Mississippi that are dancing around. It's like a famous painting. Like I knew the painting. Like I'm big into art. I just can't remember what the artist's name was. But in that sense, I don't want to know what that is. And we do move furniture like that's elaborate Baroque furniture, and we'll crate it. So, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, and they'll beat me up. They'll be like, "Hey, why does it need crated?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to guarantee it's going to get there safe. If not, this thing is from the 18th century.
Yeah, insurance only goes so far.
Yeah, exactly. This wood is 300 years old. I don't know what to tell you. Like and certain furniture like that. Another thing we did was, one guy was a hunter, big game hunter. Yeah. So we moved a lion. The guy had I was in it. Like I walked to a guy's house. It was down here in Stewartstown somewhere. Regular farmhouse, you'll think of it. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm a big hunter." And he's like, when we go down his basement, it was like bears, mountain lions, just crazy taxidermy stuff. Like his whole basement was full of just dead animals. I was like, "What is going on?"
I've probably been there if it's in Stewartstown.
Oh well, we moved him out to Colorado. So he moved out to Colorado so we could do more big game hunting in that manner. But he had a ram. He had like all of this stuff that we had to box up, and he didn't want to crate it up. And I was like. This stuff, you can't just stack this stuff in place. But then we came to an easy compromise where I did frame crates, which were just like I did the frame outside and then cardboard the rest because it was expensive if I did the whole thing. So I frame crated it where we could stack them. So there's a certain way to build things where you.
Everything has a place.
The pressure point. Yes, exactly. So I built pressure points and so on and so forth. We actually had a job one time, and this really got under my skin a bit, like you said, when you know the best of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I was moving a large piece of machinery. I want to say it was like a 3,000-pound piece of machinery, and the guy wanted it skidded. And I said, "Okay, I'll skid it." And I built the skid, but I built the skid specifically to spec to where the feet were touching.
Okay.
And then so it was blank in the middle. And I was like, well, we're going to strap it down here. We're going to do this and this because it was only at the pressure points. But at the pressure points, I had 4x6s and anchors into them where it would sit down into the anchors. So so I had to build.
It ain't moving.
Exactly, it's not moving. And then we're going to strap it into place. He's like, this isn't going to do it. And I was like. Yeah, like I built this to spec, like this is what I do for a living, like it's okay, I've done this 100 times. And then he's like, and he draws up this skid, and he's like, I want you to build this. And he had this skid that was, 4x6s and then 2x8s everywhere. And I was like, I mean, I'll build it. I'm like, you're going to pay me. Like, I don't care, I'll build it. I said, but this isn't going to do the job. We built it, and I put it all together, and I was like, okay, there you go. I said, the problem is your pressure points are now in the middle. I said, it's going to snap the outside. Yeah. And he's like, these are 2x8s. It's not going to snap and all this stuff like that. We put the piece on it and boom, right through it right away. And he goes, okay, you can use your crate. and I put all my skid back on my skid, did all that. strapped it down. It made, I think we took that to North Carolina.
And you charged them for that, right?
I told him, I said, you're paying for it. And
Yeah,
I put it in the bill specifically, like, crate you had, or a skid you had me build.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then the guy after that, we just did everything for them. So, but that also got us those moves going forward.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because he was like, okay, he does know what he's doing. And that's the craziest thing we probably did is we moved your college's library.
Oh, wow.
So during the renovation, we had to move it all out, and I had to get in there, and we had to put the stuff not in order, but on the same shelf. So we had to make sure, so of all the shelves of your college library, we had to put in a box and mark them which shelf it was going on. Because when we put it all back, we had to put it back in the shelf.
Did they give you like, I mean, was there any like map or anything? Like,
Nope. I had to do the map.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the worst part was, so I was supposed to have 2 weeks to do the move.
yeah.
Right, and I get there, and we're in the prep meeting. So we're at the meeting that they have. Like, this was happening when school was coming out, and now we're getting there. It's like it's April,
Yeah.
right? And we're getting up against it. We have the meeting. We sit down, and I'm looking at the sheet. I'm looking at the timeline. I'm like, this says I have 7 days.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we had to change that, Mike. I'm like, you probably should have called me,
Right.
considering that's my portion.
Yeah.
Like, well, we figured you'd figure something out. And I was like, well, I can figure something out. I said, but that's and what we had to do then is we actually hired their own students. So I put up flyers around and said, hey, come work part-time, because they're already on site.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I had these kids come in, and we actually worked from 8 in the morning till midnight for those 7 days to make it happen. So I was there. We had these shifts, these 4-hour shifts for all these kids that were working at the college. So I used their own students to help me move them. And
Well, it was probably a lot of the kids that would go in the library.
Yeah,
too,
they were there
so
anyway. And actually, we ended up getting
was
summer help from that because
pretty convenient.
we found out what the guys were. And the same thing happened on the move back in. I was like, because move back in, I'm like, hey, you got to give me 12 days.
Yeah.
Give me at least 12 days. They gave me 8.
Wow.
So, but we got it done. So even my dad, who wasn't doing much moving at the time, he came and he helped. And we had family members, my sister, my brother-in-law. Like, we'll find a way to do it. Like, we were pretty proud of that when it was done. If you actually go in your college, there's a room that says, I think it says my dad's Mr. and because he graduated from there, so he wanted a room there with his name on it because we gave him a discount. And he's like, I'll give you a discount if we put my name on the room. And he has like,
That's
it says,
pretty
it says Mr. and Mrs. Mover Mike Worley. Like, there's a room in there
Oh, wow.
that's dedicated to him because of that. But that was one of the moves I was very proud of because it was very hard logistically, and it's still there.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
That's awesome. Touching back on your like expensive stuff, this company that I used to work for, we would have to move stuff from time to time, but it wasn't anything crazy elaborate. But then there was one day you ever heard of JLL in Sparks, Glencoe, Maryland?
Yeah.
So BD,
And that's
Beckton
exactly what
Dickinson,
it's called.
they would like sub us and we go in there and do stuff. And, mind you, we're not like actual movers. Like, we would do like maintenance work, but like they needed help to move this machine, and it would sort cells. So what
Okay.
they do,
Yeah.
it would sort like, it was like 10,000, I think it was like 50,000 cells a second. And they would it was back when COVID was a thing. So they would take COVID samples, put COVID on there, and then they'd inject it with drugs, like literally like meth and crack and whatever. And then they would literally it would sort through all the cells, and it was insane. Like, there was 4 of them in the world, and then that one was
That's crazy.
$500,000.
Yeah.
And they had like 5 maintenance guys like myself, and other people were like, oh, can you just pick up this machine and put it on this table? And that was just insane. Like, that's probably the most expensive thing I moved with like no actual moving experience. And it was like ungodly heavy. It was like trying to pick up like just a 500-pound bench. It was ridiculous. And we did it. It didn't break. So,
But we did the move for Bob Hoffman.
yeah.
So we had to move those giant barbells, like
Yeah.
that. Those ones that were ridiculously heavy. We had to pick them up. Like, it
Oh
was
my
crazy. Like,
gosh.
we did that move whenever they did the renovations. That was cool because we were moving these giant bronze statues and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And it was like, yeah, it's amazing what people and like you say, whenever people say, hey, can you move it? Yeah, we can. We can move anything.
Yeah.
Anybody can move anything. It's physics. I mean, that's what it is. But if you want it done right, you should call a person that knows what they're doing as opposed to have your maintenance guys do it. We had that. We did moves for Harley Davidson when they had their relocation, when they got their renovations done. And they had their maintenance guys there.
Is that the one in Westward? The one in...
The one out in Century. Yep, off 30. Yep, off 30 up there. Yep.
Yeah.
And they had their maintenance guys, but they knew what their maintenance guys had to get paid to move to because they
Yeah, I
had
know a
theirs
lot of people
guys.
work
We had their guys do certain things.
Yeah.
And then we handled this stuff. But they were also aware of that. Like, they were great to work with in that manner, because they did have a labor union. But in general, like, yeah, you can have your local people do it, the people on site, but by the time you run a truck, that's what I tell people as far as like, why should I use a moving company as opposed to call my friends or all stuff like that? By the time you rent a truck, if you're doing a local move, your move might cost $1,200, which in the scheme of things seems like a lot of money, but by the time you rent a truck and you pay for all that stuff, you're going to be $400 in.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to pay 10 cents a mile. People understand that. Like, you don't have to pay plus fuel. You have to pay plus 10 cents a mile, plus the gas. And then when they fill up their gas, it's going to be $6 a gallon at their facility. So they try to get, I always tell people, this isn't a $1,200 decision for moving.
Yeah.
It's an $800 decision.
Yeah.
So is it worth $800 for you to call your buddies? By the time you buy $100 worth of pizza, that's another $100. Now it's a $700 decision.
Yep.
And now if you got somebody who doesn't show up,
Yeah.
you have to call another friend. Are you going to burn a friend on that? I always tell people that. And also with their maintenance guys, it's like, okay, you're gonna take your person outside of the scope of their job description.
Right.
And you're gonna make them pick up a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And if they hurt their back, you're on the hook for that. But like, that's not a thing.
Yep,
like,
that's what I did yesterday. So.
There you go. Yeah. See. Yeah.
I think they want more money. That's another thing I've heard. Like when we go do stuff on my job, because I have a second job, they get us like, hey, we need to move stuff, and like people are like, well, we want more money for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just hire a mover. It's not that in the scheme of things. Moving is still actually extremely affordable. That is one thing that, like, I noticed, like, back, my uncle found an old invoice from my great-grandfather from back in, like, the 1960s, and it cost this person $60 to move. And I'm like, what is this? What is going on? Like, it was $60 for a move, and it was a handwritten invoice, paid cash, and I'm like, that is bonkers.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, for us, like, we have a minimum price that we stick with. Regardless, like I tell the customer, I'm like, if you want us to remove one shrub, it's still going to be the same price as whatever else. And and it's like, and for me, as you grow, you're obviously getting more overhead. And if you're an actual business, you have insurance, you have coverages, you're an LLC, you're not just some guy, like I said, like a handyman service. So like being covered and then providing an estimate and then, taking the proper steps to make sure it's going to get done correctly, whether it's something that's going to take you 10 seconds or not, that costs money, and you got to value your time. Obviously, our minimum's not crazy. It's like $400.
Yep, that's what ours is. Ours is $520 is our minimum because we got to get the guys have to come in, get the truck ready, get out there, do that job, come back. I tell people, like, for us, if we're out and about, then if my crew's already out and somebody else is already paying that travel time and we swing by, we'll start from when we leave their job. And until we get done because they're already out. Because you know how it is. Whenever you bring employees into the mix, they have to get ready during the morning. They have to get their items ready. They have to be prepared. They have to clean the truck. There might be something left over from the previous day. You have to cover your overhead for sure. Your warehouse expenses. All your equipment. No equipment's free.
And definitely don't let people say, you hear this a lot, oh, why, you give a price and then they try to add some stuff while you're there, like, oh, while you're here, can you do this? No, like, that is going to be a whole nother fee.
I had a friend.
And that happens all the time.
I had a friend of mine. We were doing a move to North Carolina. So he was going to fit on one truck. The guys get there. They're loading the stuff up there like, it's not going to fit. I said, what do you mean it's not going to fit? I did the estimate myself. And they're like, well, there's a whole garage worth of new furniture still in boxes. He wants to go. And I called him up and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, well, I bought this furniture because it was cheaper here than it would have been in North Carolina. And I was like, okay, well, we don't have room in the truck for it. He's like, well, you got to figure that out. He gets all mad at me. And I was like, I have a list of the items, like of what we had, and you signed off on that. And then he was like, I went out there, and then once you show up, that's another thing with business. Once you show up and not have like an attitude toward them, be like, hey, okay, let's figure this out. Let's be realistic people in this manner. And I was like, I looked at my schedule. I was like, okay, well, we have a job going to South Carolina this date, like a month from now. We'll drop the stuff off then. And then he was like, okay, but it's like that. He just assumed that if I'm not there, it would just happen.
And people think that.
But we figured out a way to do it, and I had to charge him I said, I'll just charge you the money for my guys going out of the way, delivering that, and then coming back. But I can't do it for free. And then he was totally fine with it. And then once we did the move, he was happy.
And people with the whole like upcharging and stuff like that, like people think like, oh, what is it going to be, like an extra like $200? Like, no, like you're asking for an elaborate project. Like this is a whole nother project that we're talking about here. This isn't, oh, like take out another like hedge or a shrub that takes me 10 seconds. That you're asking for something that is going to take extensive thinking and and you're gonna have to pay for that. A lady, perfect example. There was a lady we did. It was me and one other guy. When she first contacted me, she wanted 2 piles of stone spread. Well, she wanted 1 pile of stone spread out, and then she hit me up when I got there. She's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, there's an extra pile of stone," and I was like, "Okay." Like, and then I get there, and this pile of stone is twice as big as the first pile, and we're talking like a triaxle versus like a 4-yard dump truck. So it's extensively bigger. It's not like, just 2 times the size. Like, it's a lot. And then originally I was just supposed to like push the stone around, spread it out, and call it a day. But now it turned into making 2 pads, grading it, and everything else. And then, there was this whole back and forth, and it's like, well, originally I was like, I'll do it for like $600, and which is insanely cheap, mind you. That is like nothing. Like, that's nothing. And then
that's pretty cheap for anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, she's like, well, can you like make me a pad over here? And I was like, that's fine, but it's gonna cost you more money. And like at the time we needed the work, so it was whatever. This is like literally like a month ago, or 2 months ago, or something like that. And then it was like $800, and then she was like trying to like, argue with me about the price. And I told her, I was like, if anybody else came out here, they easily charge you $1,500. I was like, I'm giving you an insanely good price. And then there was like all this other work she wanted me to do, and it was like this whole thing. And she's like, well, can you quote this and that? I was like, honestly, like, I'm not going to.
Yeah, be done with it.
I can already tell the direction that this is going. And it's okay to say no in a business. You don't need to take every single job. I mean, when you're first starting, I took every job. I didn't care what it was. I didn't care how hard it was. But when you want to like grow your business and you're not trying to mentally drain yourself, like you got to be able to say no, regardless if a price tag looks really good, because there's a reason why it's still not done yet. And she says, well, I've been trying to get this done for months now. It's like, okay, you really need to stop back and assess the situation. Like, okay, why is this job not done? Is the customer, giving you a hard time, or is it, more extensive than what you think it is? And somebody else came in and looked at it, and now it's like there's all this extra stuff that you didn't even see. So you really got to, make sure if a customer messages you in that manner that it's, and they're like, well, I've gotten like 5-10 estimates. It's like, okay, so like, that's one of the first things that I learned. Because at first, when I first started my business, I thought there was like certain questions that you shouldn't ask, but it was really big on like, just, you should just ask those questions. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't ask those questions, and which I do now. It's like, the first thing I'll ask if it's like an online interaction is like, how many quotes have you gotten so far? Because if you say like you've gotten 5 quotes, I don't want to give you a quote. Like, that means that you're just price shopping and you don't care about the actual work being done. Like, you just, whoever's the cheapest is what I'm going to go with, and I don't want that. Like, that for me is no good. So
yeah, I think you're totally right. I mean, like, we had one job. Get this. So I go out to an estimate. The person seemed like they were going to be a huge pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm going to quote your job. Like, there's a certain number that I'll do it at. It's so funny because another mover was quoting it, and she told me that this mover quoted. I said, that's great. One thing for me, I tell people, like, ask me if you're moving with somebody. If somebody else gives you a quote, you can ask me who they are, and I'll be like, they're legit. There's a lot of pop up. I'm sure you have the same kind of thing. Fly by night people are going to show up, and they're going to rip you off anyway. It doesn't matter. Like, and they're not legit. Like, I'll tell people. Anyway, so I do this estimate. I get back, and it's going to Florida or something like that, and I like take the number, and I'm like, I don't want to do this move. Like, it's going to be a huge pain from start to finish, no matter what I do. And I like tripled her price. Like, and I was just like, and gave it to her. And she's like, that is insane. I was like, well, you can think of whatever you want with it. Mm-hmm. Well, the other mover got the move, and he calls me up. And he's like, I can't believe I got that move. He's like, what? I charged her double. I'm like, I charged her triple. Good luck.
Yeah.
And he is like, oh, this is going to be terrible. Like, he knew, like, it was going to be those people that are over your shoulder the entire time, and it's not going to be worth that for you stressfully wise.
And I mean, when you first start a business, which it's inevitable, like, you're going to have to just suck it up and do that if you want to grow.
You got to make money.
I mean, one of the first jobs I ever did, I literally picked up rocks in this guy's yard for $80. So, like, I didn't care. Like, and that's what you have to do. I wasn't handed anything. I had no contacts, no nothing. So, like, you're going to have to take on the shitty jobs to then eventually get the breadwinner, which we're still getting to that point because, I mean, especially with my age, and I'm sure he gets it, we get underlooked and undervalued just because they expect you to have gray hair and, you know, think that you know everything. But, like, people our age that actually start a business and they're ambitious, like, you know, they don't get, like, we want to do a good job and we want to present ourselves well, but at the end of the day, they just look at you and be like, oh, well, you don't know nothing. Like, you have no life experience. Like, you have no, like, anything. It's like, I've literally been working, like, blue-collar jobs since I was, like, 14 years old, helping people, like, build their houses. And
I had a tough customer one time, and he wanted something unrealistic. This is back when I had the business. Okay. And he wanted something unrealistic done. And I was like, we can't do that. You know, it's not going to be safe for my guys, so on and so forth. And he goes, and this is back when I first took over the business, so I was younger, on the younger side. And he's like, "Give me the number of the owner of the business." I said, "Okay," and I wrote it down. I gave it to him. He calls it, and it's my phone. And I go, "Hello, how can I help you?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, okay." And then he was like, "I guess that's it." I was like, "Yeah, that's it."
Funny.
Like, it was something that was going to endanger my guys. I think it was a safe that they wanted put it into a basement, but it was wooden steps. I'm pretty sure is what it was. And I was like, I'm not gonna have my guys collapse. Like, it was something that was unsafe.
Oh, I moved a sketchy safe once, and it was like my dad's friend from work, and it was like we moved it like $500 or whatever. I mean, probably underquoted it, but money is money, especially if it's like a side job. Like, I'll do it. It's whatever. But that was back then, and this is now. So
sounds like your guy's telling us 5 minutes.
Yeah,
that's okay. One thing I do want to tell you, like, business, as far as like staying in business forever, this isn't more or less. I would like to work for somebody and they just give me a paycheck and be done with it. Like that. That is an awesome thing, but it's also it's the challenge, right? Like, just the challenge of doing this, navigating it. At any point, we could go out of business. Like, that's not a thing. You can't keep that out of your mind. Like, okay, something could definitely go sideways somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing you can control about that. And in some manners, there's some things you can control. There's some things you do wrong. Like I'm not perfect in that manner. My great-grandfather wasn't perfect. My dad wasn't perfect. These guys had to navigate that stuff. And you should be proud of yourself as being able to take that risk. And take that risk is exactly what it is. It is a risk, and it's a risk every single day. And it's like, I mean, who knows if my guys might have an accident on the job and have a terrible, injury where that changes the outcome of my business.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the stuff you just have to be prepared for. I think if there's anything you can take from my suggestion of my flawed business and what I try to do every day is take a breath, take a step back, have a little levity.
Yep.
You know, like, hey, this isn't the end of the world. I'll tell people that. Be like, oh, no, this thing is literally like a scratch this big on a desk. I'd be like, hey, man, we didn't smash through a wall.
Yep.
You know what I mean? This is a scratch. Like, take it easy. And if they're not realistic in that manner, I'll be like, then I just turn them over to my insurance. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, now you're going to have to go through those channels. Like, just try to be realistic about this in that manner. And that's the big thing is take a breath for yourself, relax a little bit. Like you said, taking jobs, you do have to do that sometimes. And it does. It sucks. And it's like, okay, but it is what it is. Okay, my guys, I'd rather have them working and them making money than... And sometimes it's me make no money, but my guys have work.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I'd rather have that. You know, my head guys sometimes will get mad at me. They're like, we have nothing anyway. Yeah. Put it in there. Yep. We don't make a lot of money, but the guy makes money. Yeah. And the truck's there anyway. And that's the thing, is just kind of deal with it, take the next phone call, try to move on, try to...
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. That's about it. And you're, as a business owner, you're already ahead of it as far as understanding that. And as you get bigger, how big are you planning on getting?
I mean, I'd love to be like the size of Kinsley one day.
Okay.
I mean, but that's hopes and dreams. I mean, I don't need to physically be in the work aspect of like what we do to that size, but like other avenues to that extent. But that's obviously for another episode. You know, we gotta close up shop here. But definitely want to end it on like you definitely have to take chances, and you definitely have to just accept the fact that you're going to make mistakes, and you're not going to know the mistake you're going to make, and then you just got to work around that and be able to be okay with not being okay all the time. So just to close it out, I would say, if you guys found anything informational about this video or the episode, I guess you would call it, if you want to drop a comment and just let me know what you'd like to hear about next. The goal is to probably have every 2 weeks make a video, so like maybe 2 a month or something to that extent, and we'll go from there. So once again, on Talking Shoop podcast with Michael Worley.
Yeah, with Worley Generations Moving, call us for all your moving needs, and even call us whenever you think you might have to move. We'll help you out. Like we're like him. We'll figure something out. And if you have any questions beforehand, just like him, if you have any questions about landscaping, call him ahead of time. It's never too early to call, I don't think, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's always good to it's good to have somebody like him as a resource.
Exactly.
So
shout out to the editor.
All right. Thank you.